Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Faces of JAF. I am so excited to introduce to you Abby Porosky from One Mission. Abby, thank you for joining us, and I would love for you to share with our audience how you know JAF and what your role is at One Mission.
Sure. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Jen. I actually go way back with both you and Joe from a million years ago when I was working in the sports marketing business. And then when I went over to One Mission, I've been there for about 5 years now as the managing director. And not only do we partner with JAF on a variety of programs, but I'm also a former JAF recipient as I'm currently going through my own cancer battle currently.
So tell our audience a little bit about One Mission and what the nonprofit does for the cancer community.
Sure. We're a pediatric cancer charity that we always say does whatever it takes to get kids through cancer. So our focus is on programs and services that make the everyday for these kids a little bit brighter. So it's everything from birthday parties in the hospital to giving them catered meals that they can enjoy with their family and maybe some of the other people that are on the floor and get together and kind of have that communal environment and bond with the other families that are going through something similar, to giving them financial assistance, like helping for paying for expensive parking. We have 30 plus programs at a variety of partner hospitals and work with a variety of organizations like yours to help with any need that they could possibly have and try to make this journey a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, the Joe Andruzzi Foundation was blessed to be a recipient of a grant from One Mission at the end of 2019, and then very fortunate to get a second grant. So we are the honored grantees to be awarding pediatric patients and their families financial assistance throughout New England, as well as a new fund at the Joe Andruzzi Foundation focusing on extraordinary needs. So we're so grateful that the trust is within our organization to make the right decision on that investment that you invested in us. So thank you for that. Yeah. And, I know you mentioned your own cancer journey, right? And I have to say, Joe and I are proud to call you a friend, proud to call One Mission a partner, but I also am proud to be a part of the Abby's Army, team. But you worked for a cancer nonprofit for 2 years, and then in 2017 you became a cancer patient. I can't imagine that was an easy thing to swallow, even though you had been around the cancer community for so long and you knew so much, which actually sometimes can be a little scary when you know so much.
As soon as I saw what One Mission did and witnessed my first buzz off, I was hooked. I knew that I needed to work there. I knew that this was my passion, and I knew that I wanted to help kids with cancer. It resonated with me for some reason, and I guess I didn't really know why at the time, and maybe it was because I was going to get cancer several years later myself, but it was just something that I needed to be a part of. So I was so happy when I finally got to go over and have a full-time job there in 2015. And it's been an absolute privilege working for One Mission for the last 5 years. And then in 2017, I was unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer for the first time. That time I had a very low-grade cancer and a very positive diagnosis, and the thought was that I would recover quite well, and there was a very low chance of recurrence after that. So I went through my journey, and it definitely gave me a whole new perspective on what these patients and families are going through, and I think it definitely helps me understand their struggle that much more, which I think can hopefully make me a more effective employee, and somebody that can really know what they're going through and be able to help them that much more. So I was already feeling that. And then, just early last year, I was actually re-diagnosed again. Unfortunately, the cancer had spread to other parts of my body. And so it went from being basically the best version of breast cancer to the worst version of breast cancer just overnight. So a lot has happened in the last few years, but I'm plugging along. I feel great. And it's honestly motivated me to do that much more to help these kids. It's, I know what I'm going through, and I don't want these kids to ever have to go through that. So I will do everything I can to make sure that they get the programs they need to still feel like they can live a life as a child, because they haven't had the chance to even live their lives yet.
Yeah. you do understand what these families are going through. You know, as a caregiver, when Joe was sick, I can remember those long days, long nights, you know, and that worry. But I also know the good things. You know, we have a community of friends that we never would have had otherwise. I tell people all the time, you know, it's the family you never wanted to be a part of, but the cancer family, everybody gets it. You don't even need to tell your story. You could have breast cancer or lymphoma or throat cancer, but everybody gets it because they know what it's like to get that phone call and that diagnosis. And it is the family you never wanted to be a part of, but it's the one that you know they have your back. They understand you. You don't even need to say words. You can literally just pick up the phone and be like, I'm having a bad day. And they're like, I get it. You know,
that bond there for sure.
It's there's that bond. And now you're that for all of those families that you're helping.
And honestly, they give me the motivation to, you know, I'm more motivated to help them, but these kids and the smiles that they have on their faces are what motivate me to keep going. And it makes me say, if they can do it, then I can too.
Yeah. The resiliency of youth. Yeah. We know too much as adults.
Unfortunately.
The resiliency of youth. But talk to us a little bit about how One Mission has had to pivot in this uncertain time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's been difficult for everybody, all nonprofits across the board, but I think it's especially tough for, you know, these kids with cancer, and they need our help now more than ever. You know, Ashley, our president and founder, and I talk about all the time how what the world is living through right now is what a cancer patient deals with on a daily basis. The worries about your immune system not being strong enough to fight off, you know, something that you may catch, you know, the isolation you may feel. Like a lot of these kids who have bone marrow transplants are alone in their homes with their families on such precautions for the course of a year. So what we're going through right now as the world, it's basically what a cancer patient lives through every single day. So what we're trying to do at One Mission is really take that into account and figure out they're getting hit double now. So how can we help them? How can we make them feel more comfortable along this journey? So we've taken a lot of our programs and made them virtual. So one of our most popular programs is the music therapy program. And, you know, the music therapists used to be able to do group sessions in the resource room at Boston Children's Hospital and also go bedside as well to kids who weren't well enough to go to the resource room. And unfortunately now, that's not something that can be done. So we've transformed that and made that a whole virtual program. You know, a lot of the things we used to do, the special occasion celebrations, are still now being celebrated, but being brought bedside and just being adapted to make it still work for the kids, because it's not fair to the kids that they don't get access to these programs. So we're really going back, looking at every single thing and figuring out how can we make this stuff still work for these patients and families. And, you know, one of the big things right now is the financial aspect, you know, which is a big reason why we partnered with you, is that, you know, we wanted to help more on that level. We were already doing parking passes for the hospital partners, and doing some financial relief by giving them meals as well. But we really wanted to get in there and be able to help them with important things like, you know, their rent or mortgage payments, utility bills, things like that, you know, are really kind of the things that really hang over your head. I know personally in my own battle, you know, I have a full-time job and I'm, you know, very lucky to have that, but, you know, going through cancer twice like I have, it's definitely a financial burden. And it's like you've got these bills piling up and, you know, then you get hit again and then you just got more bills to throw on there. So it's definitely not easy. So helping with the financial side of things is a big piece of what we want to do, and something that we're very proud to partner with you on, because you're such a well-established organization and have a great team together that knows how to handle that appropriately. So we trust you, you know, implicitly with the funds and know that they're going to end up in the right hands. But in this time when people are now even losing their jobs more than they already were, so, you know, a cancer patient is in the hospital all the time and their parent needs to be with them. So they were already losing jobs, and now you've got layoffs happening and things like that. It's making it more and more difficult for these families to be able to get by financially. So that program right now is huge for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing that you've been able to innovate the programs that you have in hospital, because I know that's so special to all those families. Having those opportunities to go into patient rooms that Joe and I have visited, it's lonely, it's dark, it's, and they're there for so many days at a time, right? So having those pickup things make it easier in
Yeah.
such a difficult time, in such a difficult time.
And
And so one of your biggest fundraising events is the Buzz Off,
yeah,
which I just participated in, which
it
was
looks beautiful, by the way.
so fun and a little scary, not gonna lie.
This is our 11th year of the Buzz Off, which is crazy to me. But the Buzz Off was originally started because our president and founder, Ashley Hasiotis, and her son, Nicholas, they were living in the hospital for 6 months when Nicholas was only 7 months old. And the day that would just really hit home with them was the day that they really had to finally shave Nicholas's head. And I know that that was heartbreaking for her, for her husband, for the whole family. So she wanted to do something that really made an impact and really showed some sort of sacrifice. So her idea was, okay, well, let's get people to shave their heads. And everyone thought she was kind of crazy because shaving your head is definitely not easy for everybody. But the first year there was 30 people that shaved their heads. And, they did it nearby one of the hospitals, and they were able to actually walk through the hospital afterwards and show off their shaved heads. And then it just took off from there. And, we've shaved over 10,000 heads. We've raised over $10 million. It just took off. And now we have this event every year at Gillette Stadium, except for this year, which it's virtual. But we have, at least 500 to 600 people that come out every year and shave in this one day. And it's usually about a third women, a third men, and a third children. So it's everybody. It really is to show that sacrifice. And we've got people who do it because they know someone who's fighting cancer. And then we've got people that do it because they have healthy kids and they feel like it's just something that they can do in their way to give back. So it's a very special day filled with emotion, whether that's happening in person or virtually. It's just an amazing, amazing event.
This is the first time the audience has seen my buzz, but I was so honored to be able to, share the stories, because that's really what it was about. So thank you for innovating and making that event virtual. You're still including all of your supporters, which is really awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't an option for us to just say, we're not going to do anything. Our patients are still in the hospitals and our patients still need our programs. And especially right now when the visitor policy, which I know firsthand because I've gone in and done scans and had appointments and had surgeries in the last few months. And, I'm not even allowed to bring my boyfriend in with me. So if you think about it, these kids, they're allowed to have one parent come with them. But that it's very lonely, and they're not getting to see their friends on the floor that they're used to seeing. It's just, everything is different right now. So they really need our help now more than ever. And so we are focused, and we are going to make sure that we can still make our programs happen for these kids. It's not an option for us to just take a year off and say, well, we can't do it this year. We're going to have to come back and, try to regroup and fund these programs next year. It's not an option. It's going to happen. So we had to reinvent the Buzz Off. This is our biggest fundraiser. Usually it raises about $1 million a year. And, we got hit at the worst time. Basically our top fundraising months are April and May, and we got wiped out. It was just like, at that point, we didn't even know if we could still have a physical event. And the physical event is a very important piece of it, because it's everybody coming together and showing people that, in solidarity, you can shave your head and show kids that you're with them twofold. You're raising money to help support them, but you're also standing in solidarity with them and showing them that bald is beautiful. And you're the perfect example of that. But, it was tough. So we had to go back to the drawing board and say, how can we make this physical event virtual? And so that's what we tried to do. And we were able to host our first virtual Buzz Off on June 25th, which you participated in. And we had over 100 people shave their heads live, and over 100 people shave their heads pre-recorded as well. So all in all, with some people who didn't submit videos, we had about 300 people, and it was incredible. And it brought in a lot more money than we were expecting. And it was very successful, so successful that we've actually decided to host another virtual Buzz Off, which is going to be on August 20th. And if anyone wants to get involved, they can go to buzzforkids.org to sign up.
It's so special to do something, not for yourself. I've always said like, oh, I want to, I'd love to shave my head. And it's one of those vain moments where your hair is just driving you crazy. And you're like, I'm just going to shave my hair off. But I have to say, going through the steps and the emotions and the, thinking about what it would be like if I didn't have that option, right? Like I made a decision to shave my head. Cancer patients don't have a decision to lose their hair, right? And sitting with that, it is such a raw feeling and such a raw emotion that, I encourage people, get out of your comfort zone. If we're healthy, God willing, our hair is going to grow back, right? Like it's not going to be this, it's not going to be my blonde dyed hair, but it's going to be my natural color. But, get out of your comfort zone and think about it, especially in the time that we're living of uncertainty. We're so focused on the pandemic. We're so focused on what's next. And I have to say this definitely for me as a person has been a good distraction. I'm not focusing on what's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. Not right now and not in the coming months. And this allowed me to stay hyper-focused on the oncology community, the Joe Andruzzi Foundation mission, the One Mission nonprofit mission. And it's like, that's where I need to be. And because that's what I do every single day. And so, Abby, I know you mentioned like you as a patient, you've had to pivot. A lot of the cancer patients that I'm close with, their treatment protocol has changed. Things have shifted for them. How has that been for you as a patient?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I'll tell you that much. I'm used to being able to go into Dana-Farber and have somebody by my side. And as an adult patient, you don't get to have anybody with you. And I mean, the second you walk in the door, you're screened, probably 4 or 5 times before you actually make it to where you're trying to go. And then when you're there, it's just uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like the same vibe that you used to get, where at least there was other people kind of around, and everybody's so scared to go near anyone. And it's definitely interesting. And like I mentioned, I've had a couple surgeries, and the same thing. It's like I have to go into the hospital with no one by my side and then just wait for them to pick me up afterwards. It's definitely a very surreal feeling. A lot of the doctor visits have transitioned to virtual visits. I mean, they're still very willing to see you if you want to see them, but in a lot of situations, it's easier just to do virtual. And, whereas I would go in sometimes to pick up certain medicines, they're starting to mail them. So it's a very interesting situation right now, and something I'm not quite used to yet, but it's for my safety. So, I kind of just try to go with the flow when it comes to that stuff.
Right. And you're at one of the best institutions that you can be at it, and they have you, and your treatment plan top of mind at all costs for you. As I prepare for many of the Faces of JAF segments, I do my own research and digging, and we also looked at your LinkedIn page. And so it says that your first job was a criminal investigator. Yeah. And we're kind of interested to tell us about that, criminal investigator.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting career path I've taken, but I think every step has actually put me exactly where I needed to go. When I was in college, I was really interested in becoming a criminal investigator. So I had an internship in college, and then when I graduated and moved down to Massachusetts from New Hampshire, I started applying for private investigator jobs. And because I was one of very few females who wanted to do that, I was actually offered several jobs and jumped right on those. And I worked for several different companies, and we did everything from a lot of insurance fraud investigations, where people were staging auto accidents or claiming workers' comp claims and, were not injured, to domestic type stuff, unfortunately, with cheating husbands and wives. So I did that for 5 years. And, it was exciting and I loved it, but it was also very, very draining and a little sketchy at certain times, where, you just didn't know if the people were going to catch you, and if they did, what they were going to do. And there were a lot of situations where I had to, go into bars and record somebody talking to somebody that they weren't supposed to be, and videoing somebody carrying a big thing out to a yard sale when they're saying that they can't walk because they hurt their leg too much at work. So it became a little bit too much for me. So then I decided to go to law school and was going to go potentially the criminal investigator route, but from the legal side of things there. And then when I got to law school, I actually met Kristen Kuliga, who does sports law and is an NFL agent. And as soon as I met her, it's just like my focus completely shifted. I loved what she did. I didn't even know that that could potentially be an option for me. And she became my mentor, in that world. And I just wanted to follow in her footsteps in any way that I could. So I went to work for her as an intern and then became an employee of hers. And that's how I started in the sports marketing world, doing a lot of NFL draft preparation and then helping other people, especially athletes, form foundations as well. And then that became kind of my connection to the nonprofit world, was seeing all the great things that these athletes that we were working with were doing in the community. And then we started, foundations were hiring us to help them manage their events because they didn't have a lot of internal staff and needed our assistance. And then that's when I really, really fell in love with the nonprofit community, especially One Mission, and then transitioned over there. So long story short, I'm where I'm supposed to be now, but it was a very interesting journey to get there.
Abby, we're so blessed to have you a part of our life, Joe and mine. I'll speak for him. And we are proud to be a part of Abby's Army, and we will be there standing next to you always and forever. And for One Mission, we are going to keep making sure those dollars get in the hands of the right family members and sharing those stories and those quotes that are so special for our community and our supporters to see and to read. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Congratulations on your new home. I see it behind you. It looks beautiful.
Getting
so
there.
exciting. But I look forward to the many, many stories that we will create together ahead. So thank you so much, Abby.
We're very grateful, not only for the partnership that we have with you. I think it's very important for the cancer community to come together, especially in times like this, because if we can all band together, we can really make that much more of an impact. So we're honored to partner with you. I personally received, a financial grant the first go around with cancer, and I can't tell you how much of a difference that made in my life personally. So I'm just very happy that the personal connection has now transitioned into a business connection, and that together we're really able to make a huge difference in the lives of children fighting cancer. And blessed to have you guys by our side helping, and also to call you friends. So thank you very much.